Whole body went cold and I was just in shock.
She wasn't breathing, her colour wasn't changing, she wasn't crying. Well, maybe we should do like a, you do the hey, I do the go.
Hey
guys.
Welcome.
I can't.
Welcome
to our
channel. So it's been a long time coming, and sorry if we are looking down a lot. We're looking at Amia, who's on our...
This child having
she's
her...
just gone down.
Do I need to do this thing? There we go, lunch nap. I can't believe we're only just talking about this now. Yeah, where do we start?
Obviously, sorry, we'll tell you what we are talking about. It's going to be the birth story.
Hell no, I'm going to put on the title.
Birth story.
Yeah, so about a year ago, I think it was like this Saturday. So she was born on Sunday at 12 on the dot. So it was the Saturday before, and I think it was like, I don't remember what time.
Was it Saturday before?
Yeah, the Saturday before is when I had like some bleeding.
What, a week prior?
No, like the day before, the Sunday that she was born. She was born on Sunday. I'm talking about Saturday.
Right. There you go.
What day? Saturday.
Saturday.
Father's Day is Saturday.
Might be.
Father's Day.
What about Father's Day?
Father's Day is on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, so the Saturday beforehand, I had some, like a little bit of bleeding, and we went to the hospital to get checked up, and they basically had done a few tests and things and said I had some contractions going on, although I couldn't feel anything at that time. And then they did a test to see if my water had broken. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it came back that it had broken, so only a little bit though. And they gave us the option basically to go in straight away and do a cesarean that day, on that Saturday. And Will and I had done hypnobirthing classes in the lead up to the birth, and we decided we weren't going to do the cesarean just yet. We were just going to give my body a bit more time. We knew that when the
ball broke.
When your waters have broken, you can have up to 24 hours, I think it is.
Yep.
Before there's like a chance, like higher chances of infection.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Look that one up. But yeah, so we thought we would take that 24 hours, and so we went home, and I started labouring from home. We went to Sunnybank first, after the doctors. Yeah, had some dinner, had some food, came home, and then to get things moving, we basically started to walk the streets.
Yeah, we did, I don't know, probably 10 laps of the block. Before it became, I guess, quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it was very heavy then. So we did that, and then we came home, and I just laboured on a medicine ball. And then it got to about, I think it was about 10 p.m, and I jumped into bed. Will was already sleeping. At this point, I kind of knew this was the real deal, because it was just building up, and then it would go, and then it would build up again. I popped in headphones and started to listen to some of my hypnobirthing tracks, just to try and relax myself, get into the groove, and it just didn't work. For me, it just did not relax me. I was in so much pain. I couldn't sleep. It was just, every contraction just kept waking me up. So I think it got to about 1 a.m, and I decided to jump into the shower, I brought my medicine ball into, is it a medicine ball? It's a bouncy ball thing.
It's a gym ball.
A gym ball, yeah.
And the chair.
Yeah.
And you drag the chair.
Yeah.
Drag the metal chair in?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I dragged. And it's hilarious because I was so pregnant and nobody was helping me do any of this.
I didn't know she was up. I was sleeping.
Yeah, I wanted him to sleep. I needed Will to be rested for the next day because I knew it was happening and I needed him to be there supporting me through it then when it got tough. So I got to about 3 a.m, woke Will up and you made me breakfast.
Yeah, so at like 3 a.m, while she was, I think you were collecting a few things, and then I just made us toast with like peanut butter, and then I brought a banana, just for a bit of an energy hit.
Boost, yeah. They try and say to have something quite basic, just to give you energy and things, but nothing too crazy or you might vomit. Yeah, so I had some toast.
Toast and peanut butter, nothing better.
And then I called my mum, we drove to the hospital.
We actually called them and said we're close by, and they said, oh yeah, come in, but we knew that as soon as we went in that we'd be on the clock, so to speak. So we just said, oh well, we'll just sit outside for as long as we need. So at that point we actually got Irina in the back and pushed the passenger seat forward as far as possible, and that just created enough space for Irina to get her knees on where you put your feet in the back seat, and then leaning over the rear seat. Rear seats. And that just, we just said at that point, let's put this peaceful music on. Let's keep your breathing really, relaxed.
Yeah, so we did that then. Like the reason I was stressed because I didn't obviously want to have a baby in the car on the way to the hospital, and it was the first time I've ever gone through anything like this. I wasn't sure where I was at. It made me feel so much more comfortable being so close to the hospital, but also I didn't want to go in because I didn't want them to be like, no, you're not far along enough, let's give you Pitocin, or let's, fuel your body with drugs and try and get this baby going, because I'm not progressing quicker.
And the other thing we were aware of is that your body's natural reaction to a hospital is to
progression,
to close up, I guess. And triggers a little bit of stress or anxiety, so it can slow down the process if you're not like 4 centimeters at least.
Dilated, in active labor. And then my mum rocked up and she jumped in the back as well, and we went through it and timed them and things at this point as well. And I think it wasn't until it started hitting the actual times that they tell you to reach.
I can't remember the timing, but it was after you hit them like a certain number of times, then you know that you're in active labour and probably very close to
being able to go in.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, being able to go in essentially.
So we stumbled in, all 3 of us, pressed the buzzer, and then they let us up. And then we got assigned to our birthing suite. We're really lucky because we had 2 midwives that were just finishing their shift. So it was at the end of their shift and they were super tired, as you would be. Like you've just done a long ass shift. It's the morning, early morning. Because I think at this point it was like 6 a.m. And they were just over it. So I remember them just saying, yep, cesarean, straight away again. And we were lucky because it had the changeover of staff. So straight away we got 2 new midwives who were the absolute best. They were very, very supportive and there for us. They started putting music on in the birthing suite. They got mats out for me to birth with, and
and a lot of that was driven by, because they just said, look, do you have any special requests? And then at that point we had copies of our birth plan. So we distributed those, and the midwives just you know, had a quick read and they went, yep, awesome. Set up the speaker, moved the bed to the side, put, you know, like a mattress on the ground, had the gym balls at the ready.
It was amazing.
They even put like essence.
Oh yeah, they asked us like if we wanted the aromatherapy.
Yeah, aromatherapy stuff.
Yeah,
which
I don't. Did I even say yes to that? I don't think I did. Oh, you did.
I said
yes. Yeah, so we had all that, and then they were just awesome. And then I laboured for ages, what felt like ages.
I want to be on the gym ball, just breathing through and being as relaxed as possible, and just not, I guess, tensing up. And then, you know, after a while on the gym ball, it was just naturally again, she'd go, okay, well, let's change to, instead of sitting on this gym ball, I'm going to just go on the bed and sort
labour
of
that way.
Labour that way.
Yeah.
So we kind of did that for quite some time.
It started getting a little bit too much, and I just said, let's jump in the shower. All the midwives actually offered, do you want to get in the shower? I said, yeah, I want some heat. Heat on my back. And so we went and jumped in there. I think it was about 10 a.m. at this point, because it was getting closer to the end.
Yep.
So we did that, and I just remember being in so much pain, and I was just thinking, holy crap, like this is ridiculous. I hadn't had anything, no gas, no epidural, nothing like that. And I think it got to a point when we were in there where I just remember looking at my mum and thinking, oh my gosh, like how did you do this, and how did you do this 2 times? And a lot of the reason I wanted to go all natural was because my mum told me she went all natural. So I was like, yeah, well, you know, if my mum can do it, I can do it, like for sure, that's easy then. And then I just remember in that moment I looked at mum and I just said, how did you do this? Help me. And the face she gave me was just shock, and she just looked at me and she just said, I remember, like I remember. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean you remember? Remember what? And she said, I had medication.
Yeah, she was like, I didn't do this.
I didn't do this naturally. And I just went, oh my gosh. But obviously, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, they kept offering medication and things, and I just said no, like let my body keep going. And I think it was in the shower when I said to Will, if this baby doesn't come out now, or if I'm not at a 9 dilation, like I can't do this.
And that was the funny thing, is she looked at me at that moment, and again, you know, she's got as much heat as she's allowed on her belly, and I'm you know, just hitting those pressure points still. And that's when she looked at me and just in tears, she just went, I can't do this. And that's generally the I mean, a lot of people say in hypnobirthing and stuff like that, if there's a point where you go, I can't do this,
I want to go home,
I'm done, then you're probably,
that's it, you're transitioning.
Close. Yeah, you're transitioning essentially, which transitioning is what, between
it's basically like 9 to 10
centimeters dilated, or close to 10.
Yeah, and when you can start
pushing.
At that point I just said, check me, and they did a check, and I was at 9.5. Yeah,
so it was like the last, I don't know, half centimetre or centimetre of the cervix. Yeah,
so we waited a bit more, I laboured a bit more, and then they basically checked me one last time. They said, yep, you're at a 10, you can start pushing. So that was it, and we started to push, and I thought that I'd be able to push a baby out easily. So I don't know why. And I was totally wrong. Like, it was...
Yeah, so again, I think we were standing at that point.
I think I was over the bed at this point.
Yeah,
I was over the bed and I was trying to push this way and it just wasn't happening. Yeah, so they flipped me onto my back. Yeah, and then started pushing there, and I pushed for so long, I was so exhausted, and then it basically just went downhill from there.
And I guess the other thing there during that whole pushing process, again, I was there just in the lower back, trying to apply those pressure points,
and in my shoulders,
and then mainly in the shoulder. And I just remember, because the pain was so excessive at that point, I was pushing so hard to the point where I felt like my thumbs were going to break. And you know, because her body was tensing up that much, she was pushing it straight, my fingers straight back out, and then she's looking at me like, push, you know, what are you doing? You're just doing nothing. And I was like, I'm pushing as hard as I can, like my fingers feel like they're gonna break.
And then we got to a point where
you could see her head. Okay.
Yeah, you could see her head. They started showing me with a mirror so I could see what I was doing and how I was progressing, which helped a lot. And then at this point they started noticing that Amia's heart and breathing.
Yeah, they'd realised that there was some abnormalities in her heart rate.
Yeah. So they basically said, you know, Irina, we really need you to push now. You need to get her out. And then they realised that, okay, there's something going on. There's something wrong. And basically, Amia's the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck, so she wasn't able to breathe. And at that point they said, okay, we need to do an episiotomy, which is where they do an incision across. And so I just said, yep, go for it. And then her head came out from that, and they were like, awesome, let's keep going. And then unfortunately we had a case of shoulder dystocia. So once the head comes out, the baby needs to actually rotate to come out further afterwards. Her head wasn't rotating, so she was stuck. Her shoulder was stuck in my pelvis.
Yeah, stuck in the pelvis.
Yeah, stuck in my pelvis. And basically that's where then the nurses had to dislodge her. So just putting a ton of pressure onto my pelvis to push her shoulder out. And that caused, so by them doing that and her coming out that way, like very quickly, it caused a 2nd-degree tear. But yeah, after that it was relief. She was out. We thought, yep, awesome, like it's I didn't think that. I thought, oh my god, like this is the worst thing in the world. And everyone talks about, I think for me, like I was really looking forward to the whole euphoria after you give birth. Like as soon as they come out, everyone says, oh, you know, you get this overwhelming feeling of love and all that sort of thing. I just remember in that moment thinking, like during the labor, I was like, this is so messed up. Like this is messed up. This is messed up. And then when she came out, I was like, this is still so messed up. Like it just didn't change.
Where's that good feeling?
Yeah. And then they got her up, popped her onto my belly, and to give us the skin to skin. They knew she wasn't well. Like she wasn't breathing. Her color wasn't changing. She wasn't crying properly. And yeah, so they had to basically get Will, cut the umbilical cord.
Yep.
And they rushed her over to the resuscitation station
table. Yep.
Yeah. And then you can go from here, because I don't really remember much after this.
Yeah, so sort of rewinding a little one, or part of our birth plan was for me to receive her. So I did that, obviously cut the umbilical, and then they brought her straight over to the resuscitation station, and she was sort of taking a while to stabilise and not really breathing. Coughing, not breathing. I think in the records she was about 20% lung capacity at that point. Yeah. So they were just pumping her with oxygen. Yeah. And then that's where they got me over, and they're like, yeah, you know, tickle her feet, you know, do whatever you can for her to essentially wake up or just become more aware. So they worked on her for quite a bit, and I was sort of in a panic at that point, because I'd spent probably 15 to to 20 minutes with Amia. But then at that point I turned around and yeah, there was probably...
Oh, I think I was laying there and seeing them take Amia across, and that was happening over there, and I just went, oh my gosh, you know, something's going on, something's bad, this, that and the other. While that was happening, I had to labour or deliver my placenta, and with my placenta it had actually ruptured. So they were trying to get all the pieces of the placenta out of me, as it can cause like infection, it can cause all sorts of things if you leave any parts of it. And while they're doing that, I started to have a hemorrhage.
Yeah.
Postpartum hemorrhage. And I lost 1.8 litres of blood while that was happening. So I was going in and out of consciousness, and I could just see Will over there. I could see Amia, them trying to get her to be alive.
I was stressed about Amia, and then I actually, not knowing, came over to Irina and I went, oh, you're doing so well. And at that point she sort of looked at me and goes, oh, Will, I'm in emergency. And then I looked down and just saw so much blood. Like it was a scary amount of blood. And then at that point I sort of came to the realization that something was wrong, and my whole body went cold and I was just in shock. But you know, I had at that point I was just stroking her hair, blood all over it from receiving Amia, and I was just like, oh, you're gonna be fine. But then Irina was sort of looking at me, again, extremely pale, and she was just like, oh, you know, is Amia okay, sort of thing, and going in and out of consciousness, I guess.
Yeah, I was basically saying, you know, go to Amia, but then also not, I don't know, but...
I mean, the scary thing there is that when you see in movies, like, someone at a car crash scene and they're losing blood, that was the look and the feel. And it was just a bit, it was pretty scary.
Yeah, and I just like, it's just insane how good the system is though there. Like, I couldn't believe it that when I started losing all this blood, the doctor was basically screaming at the midwife to press the emergency button, and she hit that button, and within like, felt like 5 seconds, it was as if they knew something was going to happen. But our room was just filled with like 20 people. 20 people with carts, like, who their only job was basically to have a board and look at my stats. There were people like just everywhere.
Yeah, it was like they just came out of the walls and just monitoring everything. And you know, at one point it was they were just saying it was really, really hard to find where the source of the bleed was coming from, which was scary enough in itself. But yeah, they eventually stabilised you.
Yes. Yeah. And so while that happened, I was telling Will to go with Amia because she was still getting worked on. They ended up having to take her to NICU, so I told Will to go with Amia because they were still working on me at this point. And Will, you
at that point, because I just naturally and really at Irina's orders just followed Amia to make sure that she was going to be okay. But they hadn't, at that point, they hadn't fully stabilised. So, as in stabilised Irina. So I sort of walked down the hallway and I went, oh my god, I didn't kiss Irina, or like I didn't say goodbye, just in case something, you know, did go really wrong, which was a bit scary.
Yeah, but all is well.
So when I did get to the NICU with Amia, I just said to the nurses or doctors, I just said, oh, I really want to do skin to skin. But at that point they had to hook her up to all the tubes because there was meconium
present so all in her lungs and things.
So they actually, the reason for her lungs not being 100% was just she was full of meconium, which is when she essentially poos in the womb, and it got all into her lungs. So then they started her on her 48 hours of antibiotics.
So she had like little, what's it called?
Little drip?
Yeah, a little drip going in. Her wrist was so small, and yeah, it was just, no.
not even out of the womb for an hour, and she was on a drip getting medical, you know, getting her little antibiotics. So yeah, I went in there, took my shirt off, got Amia skin to skin.
Yeah, because in hypnobirthing we're taught that like in the first, when the baby comes out, you need to do immediate skin to skin contact, normally done with the mother. But obviously I wasn't available at the time, and the next thing they say is get the dad involved, and because it's the smells and it's a way of bonding straight away. And I had also, I think when I was 36 weeks, I started to express colostrum and collecting it in the syringe, just in case something like what happened. Because I wanted to breastfeed. I really wanted to try and breastfeed and do all of that, give myself the best chances of breastfeeding. So I expressed that, and luckily we brought some to the hospital, and Will was able to feed her my colostrum for her first feed. But, yeah, so that was good. So Will and her had a good little
bonding
session. Yeah. And then while that was all happening, I think it was about 4 hours later where I emerged. Literally though, it was, you would not think it was me. I looked horrific. Like
it looked like the end of a UFC match. And she lost.
Yeah. And I literally got wheeled in.
Yeah. All eyes swollen. Like it was just, you'd been through the wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, she got wheeled in, and Amia and I, by that time, Amia was in her little, I was going to say holding pen. Holding like a little
cot. I don't know.
Hospital cot.
Yeah. And
yeah, I got her first look and hold.
Get to properly feed her myself. Try and get a latch on and things, and yeah.
That was a big emotional moment for you.
It was, and I think my dad actually rocked up at that point as well. I think he would have had no idea, because he didn't know what had happened. So I think he would have looked at me and gone, damn, like, that was a rough time. Yeah. But
so
then we stayed in the hospital for a couple of days, and because we both had to still be watched for a while, and then we got to take our little bundle of joy home.
Good fun.
Good outcome.
Yeah, we're very, I mean, it wasn't perfect, wasn't exactly what we wanted, but
we knew that too.
Yeah,
like, going in, we knew that a birth plan is just a plan.
Yeah, it's a birth preference. So, no, it was good that we just were able to sort of roll with the punches, and everyone came out okay. So,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, hope you enjoyed, guys.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Yeah. Bye.